Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is.
Late night hosts think they're untouchable until Jim Carrey walks in. No script, no mercy. Just chaos. On Kimmel's stage, Carrey didn't steal the show. He torched it, rewrote it, and danced on the ashes. The night Jimmy Kimmel got hilariously obliterated by Jim Carrey. Unforgettable, unfiltered, and absolutely viral.
Yeah.
What is
Come
it?
on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part.
Before we move on, smash that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. The thing about Jimmy Kimmel is his show runs on autopilot. A few celebrity guests, some half-baked jokes, and a skit or two that feels like it was written by caffeine-powered interns. It's so predictable you can call the punchline before the audience even fake laughs.
For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on, you know?
Then, one night, in walks Jim Carrey, a walking cartoon, a hurricane in human form, a man who doesn't obey the laws of physics, comedy, or basic human restraint. And suddenly, Kimmel's neatly controlled late-night empire turned into a demolition site, with Carrey swinging the wrecking ball and laughing the entire time.
I just wanted to see what would happen if you stayed until they got tired. Usually people sit down during the biggest part of the applause.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I thought I would see what that's like.
Kimmel thought he was about to do a normal interview, the kind where the guest politely answers questions and plugs their latest project. But Jim Carrey doesn't do normal. He treats a late-night set like his personal playground. If he sees a chair, he doesn't sit in it. He body slams it, climbs on it, or turns it into a prop from an abandoned circus.
You're out at the edge of the envelope with the blue devil. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, yeah. It is.
Lovely, though.
Yeah, but also, but worth exploring.
Yeah,
Well, have a
why
seat.
not?
But not this time. The moment Jim Carrey walked out, Kimmel lost control of his own show. The audience's eyes weren't on the host anymore. They were glued to Carrey, the human tornado of comedy. Every movement, every grin, every unpredictable outburst turned the stage into pure chaos. Kimmel tried to steer things back, but Carrey wasn't following any script. The late-night routine had officially been hijacked, and the crowd loved every second of it.
Jim Carrey's trying to tell us something, and it's time that we started listening.
Going on.
He just said that straight to Jimmy Kimmel's face, but it's a charge sugar-coated in comedy that makes it impossible to count.
But next to Jim Carrey, all that confidence melted. Every time Kimmel tried to regain control, Carrey would twist the moment into absurdity, turning questions into slapstick, pauses into punchlines, and silence into chaos. It wasn't an interview anymore. It was a live performance of pure unpredictability. Kimmel's grin started to look less like amusement and more like survival. The audience could feel it. This wasn't Kimmel's show anymore. Jim Carrey had commandeered it, rewriting the rules of late-night TV in real time, and all Kimmel could do was hold on and hope the storm passed.
Look at him trying to come it out. It's hilarious. Buzzing, hold on. They're trying to turn us into, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some.
What happened?
I'm sorry.
Kimmel tried to keep things together, clutching his cue cards like they were a life raft. But by then, the show had completely slipped away from him. Jim Carrey had turned Jimmy Kimmel Live into a live-action cartoon, and the audience was loving every second. Every expression, every sound, every spontaneous move was a masterclass in chaos. You could practically see Kimmel calculating how to steer things back on track, but there's no script for a hurricane. The cameras kept rolling, the crowd was roaring, and Carrey just kept feeding off the energy like a mad scientist who just discovered laughter was fuel. By the time it ended, Kimmel wasn't hosting a show anymore. He was surviving an experience. And the best part? He knew it. That awkward smile at the end said it all. He'd just been absolutely, gloriously obliterated by Jim Carrey, and the audience had witnessed late-night history.
Turned from bemusement at Jim Carrey's antics to an anxious unease at what he was really implying. Now, you don't need to go too much down the conspiracy rabbit hole around that hand sign and the supposed organizations associated with it, and that's because I believe Jim Carrey truly meant something else, and something maybe deeper. Over the years, he's been disillusioned with much of the pomp and show of Hollywood, and it was clear by the insinuations he made saying that talk show hosts like Jimmy Kimmel are also mere distractions meant to pull people's attention away from things that truly matter.
Imagine paying for tickets to see Jimmy Kimmel live only to end up being roasted by Jim Carrey in front of the entire nation. It was the kind of wild, unpredictable energy late-night television used to thrive on, back when it was spontaneous instead of feeling like a factory churning out reheated jokes. Carrey brought back the chaos everyone forgot they missed. Every time Kimmel tried to cut to commercial, Carrey acted like he didn't hear him. When Kimmel attempted to steer the conversation toward the guest's project, Carrey spun it into a full-blown circus act. It was pure sabotage, and somehow the funniest thing that show had produced in years. The audience could feel it too. They weren't there for another polished, predictable interview. They were there to witness unfiltered comedy in real time. The room buzzed with energy as people leaned forward, eager to see what Carrey would do next. Maybe climb the rafters, maybe turn a prop into a punchline. Even the cameraman seemed lost, unsure where to point the lens as Carrey bounced from one side of the stage to the other. Every second felt like it could implode, and every near disaster turned into comedy gold. Kimmel's face said it all. Gone was the cool confidence of a late-night veteran. In its place was the strained grin of a man realizing far too late that his show had just been stolen right out from under him.
Just said that straight to Jimmy Kimmel's face, but it's a charge sugar-coated in comedy that makes it impossible to counter. Anyone that has been following Jim Carrey knows how the star comedian has become a more subdued and introspective man in his later age. Trying to contemplate life's greatest questions, it's a pursuit of meaning that is the highest goal which too many people never get to do because they're so caught up in trivial entertainment, petty politics, and pointless distractions, and there's no industry that's a bigger source of all that than the one that's been a part of his entire life.
And not just stolen, obliterated. Carrey didn't simply upstage Kimmel, he erased him. By the halfway point, you could have muted Kimmel's mic and nobody would have noticed. The entire program had morphed into the Jim Carrey Show, with the supposed host reduced to background decoration. What made it even funnier was that this wasn't new territory for Carrey. This was his natural habitat. Clips from the interview exploded online within hours. Viewers replayed the chaos, zoomed in on Kimmel's defeated expressions, and filled social media with memes about how Carrey had turned late night into his own playground. Some even joked that Kimmel should just start billing Carrey as the real host from now on, since he was the one generating the laughs, driving the energy, and quite literally carrying the show. The contrast was what made it beautiful. Kimmel's comedy has always been safe, neat, predictable, carefully sanitized for maximum inoffensiveness. Carrey's comedy, on the other hand, is chaos incarnate, wild, unfiltered, and allergic to restraint. Watching them share the same stage was like watching a fireworks show in a library. And by the end of the night, everyone knew the truth. Kimmel might have owned the studio, but Jim Carrey owned the moment.
Sorry. Okay, we played the soundbite on our show for you yesterday, and I'll play it here now just for those of you who haven't heard what got him indefinitely suspended. He's fired. We'll see, unless Disney bends the knee. But right now, it's not looking good for old Jimbo. Here's what he said inside. And he said that when he knew that it wasn't the case, the evidence had been ubiquitous about this person's left-leaning and commitment to left-wing ideology. We've gone through it repeatedly, you all know.
Watching those two collide was like watching a polite dinner party suddenly invaded by a marching band. The guests didn't know whether to clap, run, or join in. And the host just sat there, shell-shocked, as the chandelier came crashing down. That's what makes Carrey so dangerous on late-night TV. He doesn't just break the rules, he makes you wonder why the rules existed in the first place. The more Kimmel tried to keep things under control, the worse it got. Carrey could smell the discomfort and leaned into it, grinning like a man who'd found a new toy to break. It turned into a one-sided war. Kimmel armed with cue cards, Carrey armed with chaos. By the end, Kimmel looked like the defeated general of an army that never even showed up. Carrey didn't just win, he annihilated. Kimmel wrapped up the show looking like he'd aged 10 years and 40 minutes, while Carrey skipped off stage like he'd just finished a casual workout. For Jim, it was just Tuesday. For Kimmel, it was the comedic equivalent of a public execution. The audience, they loved every second. Online, fans crowned Carrey the king of chaos once again. Comments flooded in praising how he flipped the show upside down, refused to play along, and reminded everyone what real comedy looks like: wild, unpredictable, and alive. Others pointed out the obvious truth. Late-night TV has gotten too safe, too polished, too afraid. And for one glorious night, Jim Carrey tore all that down and made it fun again.
Clown went all in on ignoring reality and blames MAGA.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So MAGA is desperately trying to portray Kirk's killer as not one of them. If that man was any more full of he'd be a colostomy bag. That was 2 days ago, so Kimmel had the chance to walk it back, but he can't. And why is that? Because to admit he was wrong on this calls into question his entire filter for
One viewer even joked that Kimmel should send Jim Carrey a thank you card because the only reason anyone was still talking about his show the next day was Carrey. And that's the real punchline. Kimmel may have invited Jim Carrey as a guest, but what he actually booked was his own demolition crew. He thought he was hosting an interview. What he got was a full-blown comedy earthquake that reduced his entire format to rubble. While Kimmel sat there, stunned and smiling through the chaos, Carrey was already moving on to his next target, laughing like a man who just pulled off a perfect heist. Because for Jim Carrey, chaos isn't an accident, it's an art form. That night, he didn't just appear on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he hijacked it, holding the show hostage while the supposed host looked on like a man politely watching his own car get stolen. The aftermath was almost as funny as the event itself. On the next episode, Kimmel tried to laugh it off, tossing out a few jokes and pretending it was all part of the plan. But you could see it in his eyes. That dazed, defeated look of someone who knew he'd been outclassed on his own turf. No matter how many times he claimed it was all in good fun, everyone knew the truth. Kimmel didn't run that show. Jim Carrey did. And the best part? He didn't even break a sweat doing it.
Problem with Elon from the beginning of this thing, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble. He is in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is Hollywood. And, and I think also, he famously, there's some videos of him in blackface, and those came out, and he had apologized for them, and I think he took that hit and, really doubled down the other direction.
Meanwhile, Carrey walked away without a scratch. This is a man who spent his entire career thriving on chaos, turning facial expressions into weapons, nonsense into punchlines, and interviews into full-blown performance art. Expecting Kimmel to outwit Jim Carrey was like expecting a house cat to beat a tiger in a cage match. Usually, late-night guests play along. They laugh politely at the host's jokes, clap on cue, and help keep the illusion of control intact. But during Carrey's rampage, the audience stopped pretending. They weren't politely entertained. They were losing it. Every time Carrey spoke, the room erupted. Every time Kimmel tried to interject, the laughter died like someone had hit the mute button. It was real, unfiltered, contagious. The kind of energy you can't fake or manufacture. You could almost hear the collective thought running through the crowd's minds. Why are we even watching Jimmy when Jim is right there? And that's the brutal truth for late-night hosts. They've built these safe, predictable empires. Polished monologues, celebrity segments, and sanitized humor. Then along comes Jim Carrey, who doesn't care about scripts, timing, or decorum. He ignores the questions, breaks the format, and treats the set like his personal playground. In one night, he reminded everyone what real, unpredictable comedy looks like, and exposed just how stale the late-night formula has become.
Yeah.
The people in charge.
Exactly.
He's their Praetorian Guard.
Yeah.
And it's like, the self-hatred he must feel, because he wasn't always, that's my point. Yeah. I mean, Colbert has always been a hard partisan, talented guy, but obviously he's not a comedian. But Kimmel was a comedian. Like, how does he, I don't understand.
I don't know.
And suddenly, the audience remembered just how stale the late-night formula had become. They realized they'd been dining on reheated leftovers when they could have been served a 5-course comedy explosion. Carrey didn't just steal Kimmel's thunder, he stole his relevance. Here's the thing, Kimmel, like most late-night hosts, survives by being the cleverest guy in the room. But when Jim Carrey walks in, that illusion evaporates instantly. Standing next to Carrey, Kimmel doesn't look clever. He looks boring. And there's no recovering from that. For Carrey, late-night shows are playgrounds. For Kimmel, this one became a permanent scar. Years from now, no one will remember what movie Carrey was promoting or what jokes Kimmel tried to force in. They'll remember the night Jim Carrey walked onto that stage and turned Jimmy Kimmel Live into a live-action cartoon, with Kimmel reduced to the bewildered extra. But that moment exposed something even bigger. Late-night TV's fear of unpredictability. Everything is pre-scripted. The jokes, the reactions, even the camera cues. It's polished to death. Jim Carrey, on the other hand, thrives on the opposite. He makes chaos the punchline, and that's why, in a single appearance, he did what no one else on late night has managed in years. He made it feel alive again.
It could be a little of everything, but it's great. Even in death, Charlie keeps winning debates. You know, the media, this is what's disgusting. Just look at the reaction. The media is trying to make Jimmy Kimmel into their Charlie Kirk. But as if like getting fired is the same as getting fired upon. That's what disgusts me, is how they're trying.
And when you throw that kind of chaos into a machine that only runs on routine, the machine collapses. That's exactly why it felt so fresh, so electric, and so unforgettable. For one night, late-night television wasn't predictable or polished. It was alive. And it took Jim Carrey to remind everyone what that actually looks like. The irony is, Kimmel probably thought booking Carrey would be a guaranteed win. A big star, a nostalgic name, a sure ratings boost. But instead of elevating his show, Carrey exposed it. He revealed just how stiff, predictable, and uninspired the format has become. Kimmel wanted energy. Carrey brought an earthquake. He tore through the set like a comedic wrecking ball, showing the audience what real chaos and real comedy look like. It wasn't polished, it wasn't scripted, and it definitely wasn't safe. But it was unforgettable. In a world where every late-night show blends together like beige wallpaper, unforgettable is priceless. So yes, Jim Carrey hilariously destroyed Jimmy Kimmel, not with one-liners or insults, but with unstoppable, uncontainable energy. He exposed the cracks in late night, turned the host into a background character, and reminded everyone why he's still one of the greatest comedic forces alive. And the best part? He didn't even have to try. For Carrey, it was just another day at the office. For Kimmel, it was the night his own stage was stolen, set on fire, and turned into the funniest disaster late-night TV has seen in years.